All right. Elimination. When we are doing elimination, we are literally eliminating something from our equation. Okay, so with substitution, we literally substituted, right? We put what this was in replace of something else, didn't we? We placed it in there. It's called a substitute. When I'm not here, someone comes in my place, right? That's why we call them substitute teachers. They're my substitute, okay? So for elimination, we're going to eliminate one of the variables. Okay? So, for elimination, they will both be stacked, and they will both be written in standard form. Standard form, I told y'all on Monday, was when x and y are on the same side as each other. So x, y, and then the whole number is by itself. Okay, so that's standard form. Elimination has to be in standard form with both of them stacked. Okay, and we're always going to draw a line up underneath them, and it's going to look like stack adding. Okay, so this is always a plus sign right here. Okay, so what we want to do is, in order for something to eliminate, their coefficient just means number in front of, has to be the opposite. So look at your y's. What are the coefficients, the numbers in front of y?
-2 and 8.
-2 and +8. Are they opposites? No, they're opposite signs, but their numbers aren't the same, are they? What about your x's?
Yes.
Are their coefficients opposites?
Yes.
Yes. So if you were to add -4x and +4x, it would end up making what?
0.
0x, which is just
Nothing.
0. There is no x anymore. They literally eliminated. So all you're left with is y. -2y plus +8y would give you 6y equals, the equal sign just comes straight down, -12 plus -24,
-36.
-36. And now what's the only thing keeping y from being by itself? Being multiplied by 6, so we need to divide by 6. -36 divided by 6 is
-6.
-6. Now remember, our answer is a point made up of x and y. We just found the y. How do you think we're going to find the x? Nope. Now, we marked out the -4x and 4x for the sake of this step. It's technically still there, okay? Because we didn't really just mark them out. That was just to kind of show something. Really what happened here, was it -4x on top?
Mm-hmm.
And +4x on the bottom? Really, if you added those, you would get 0x, right? But we just don't have to put the 0x there. I like to draw the line through it to kind of help me visualize that I don't even have to put anything underneath it. Okay, it's just like whenever we are moving things from one side to the other, right? We draw a line through it when they cancel out. That's what I was doing there, but it doesn't mean that that -4x disappeared. Okay, it's still there. So what we're going to do, we're going to take this -6 and plug it into the y on top. I know what y is, and I need to find x. The only thing keeping me from knowing what x is up here is not knowing y. So if I plug y in, -4x minus 2 times -6 equals -12.
How?
What do you mean how?
You just plug it in for the y.
Yeah, I literally, it said y equals -6, so I let y be -6 because that's what it said it was. Y is -6, just like with substitution, it said y was 3x plus 4, so I let y be 3x plus 4. Same thing here, all right? And now you simplify. There's no y anymore, it's just an x. What's -2 times -6?
+12.
All right, now what do we do?
Divide -1. No. Minus 12.
You have to always get rid of the whole number first. So you subtract 12. What's negative 12 minus 12? Don't say 0.
Negative 24.
Thank you. Then we would
Get rid of the, divide the negative 4.
divide by negative 4. Yes, Colin?
Isn't negative times a negative positive?
Yeah, but that's not multiplying.
No, but up at the top, negative 4x minus 2 times negative 6.
Negative 2 times negative 6 is positive 12. Okay. And negative 24 divided by negative 4 is positive 6. So then we can fill that in up there. So our answer is 6 comma negative 6. Was that easier than substitution?
It's easier, but it's complicated. Like, it's got lots of steps. It's easier, but it's gonna get harder.
Possibly. All right. I want y'all to write this one down. I want everyone working it with me. So whether you need to get a marker or a piece of paper, either one. Sorry, it was my left hand.
Purple.
Don't have any more. Guess you're gonna have to get some paper and pencil out. Alright. Now, once we have this part, our next step is to draw the line under it so it looks like stack adding, right? Yes.
Do we actually have to, does it matter if it's a plus or a positive?
Yeah, I want you to put a plus right here. Notice I put my plus in parentheses so that it, not to confuse it with that minus right there. Because that plus is technically going to all of the numbers, right? Alright, so do y'all see anything up here that will eliminate?
4x and negative
4x and negative 4x. They are going to eliminate and make 0. Now, I can mark them out, but does that mean that it disappeared from the problem? No, it did not disappear from the problem. We're just marking it out to show that it went to 0. Alright, and now we do this part. 8y plus 2y is 10y. 20 plus negative 30 is negative 10. Casey, you're coloring a pencil instead of working the problem.
Yeah, I could be using that one.
And I saw you. I didn't write it down yet. I waited till you do that.
No. Work it with me. Now, how do we get y by itself? Wiley, why don't you have paper and a pencil out yet?
I was asking for a piece of paper, but no one had something.
You're in school. Where's your paper?
Just take that.
All right. So how do we get y by itself?
Yeah, divide by 10.
Divide by 10. And what's negative 10 divided by 10?
Negative 1.
Negative 1. So we marked this 10s out over here, didn't we? That didn't mean that they disappeared, did it? They technically divided into 1, right? But we didn't have to show the 1. Just like when we mark these out, it doesn't mean that they disappeared. It means they added to 0, but we don't need the 0. Are we done?
No.
No, we only found
Y.
the y, the negative 1. How do I find the x?
You plug that into the 8y.
Yeah, you plug it in. Do you think it matters which equation we plug it into?
No. Yes.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I just like to always go to the top because it's just easiest because it's the first thing I see.
Oh, I did it back.
So 4x plus 8 times negative 1 equals 20. You catching up, Jaden? Okay. What's 8 times negative 1?
Negative 8.
Then we do what?
You have add the 8.
So 20 plus 8 is 28. And then finally we divide by 4. And what is 28 divided by 4? 7. Okay. Now we have our full answer. 7 comma negative 1. Any questions?
I think I got it.
Be specific. Don't say all of it.
Hey,
Yes.
what if both the X and the Y cross out?
Then, it's actually a great question. Let's say we have 4x plus 8y equals 20. Negative 4x minus 8y equals negative 30. All right? The x's cross out, right? The y's cross out. So what are you left with here?
0.
0 equals, what's 20 minus 30?
Negative 10.
Negative 10. Does 0 equal negative 10?
So no solution.
No solution.
Right, the answer would be no solution there. But what if
None of them cross out.
we're going to get to when none of them cross out? What if that crosses out and that crosses out?
All real numbers.
And it'd be
That's-
0.
0 does equal 0,
So all real numbers.
all real numbers. Well, isn't this supposed to be where they intersect? How in the world does something intersect at every single number?
It's just a general.
Oh, you put 0, 0?
No.
Does it start at the origin?
Nope.
Witchcraft.
It's just a dot. There's no.
It's a line. Each one of these represents a line.
There's lines going to.
So is there really no solution then?
No, it's still all real numbers. I'm just asking you.
Parallel?
Parallel would be no solution. It means they don't cross. These, what this means, if it's all real numbers, it means it crosses at every single point.
That's insane.
But
So how does that happen?
it doesn't. No one.
No, it does.
It's
But-
in the garage.
But it may make a little bit more sense if we solve both of these for y and get it in slope-intercept form. Okay, may make a little bit more sense there. So 4x plus 8y equals 20. First off, what do you notice about all three of these numbers? They're all divisible by what?
2.
Think bigger.
4.
They're all divisible by 4. So first I'm going to make my numbers smaller by dividing them all by 4.
So that's just X.
So x plus 2y equals 5. Okay. Now I want to get y by itself.
So you divide
Nope. You got to move the x over first.
by 2.
Negative x plus 5. Remember that's a negative 1x, right?
Couldn't you technically do 5 minus X? Or
Yeah, but we're trying to get it in slope-intercept form. So slope has to come first.
Y equals -2.
So now divide by 2. So y equals negative 1/2 x plus 2.5, right? Let's do the same thing
What is
with the bottom one. Let's get it with x by itself. Again, all of them are divisible by what?
4?
Not just 4, but
Negative 4.
they're all divisible by negative 4, aren't they? Don't they all have negatives on them too? So x plus 2y equals 5. Starting to look a little familiar, isn't it?
You just do the same thing.
Oh, it's just like negative and
No, no.
I don't
This is your
Y equals negative 1/2 x plus 2.5. So when we solved both of them for y,
We got the same thing.
we got the same thing. They're the same line. If they're the same line, then this line is sitting on top of that line, so it has no way but to hit every single point.
That still makes no sense, but I'll go with it.
Wait,
You-
it's
are
every
you-
single line that
It
that
means
one,
that the
line
lines
goes
are
on.
on top of each
Or
other,
is it like
so
every
the
single
top
line?
line hits everything that the bottom
So-
line hits.
One way you can tell if it's going to be all real numbers, you can solve it and get it down to 0 equals 0, but you can also look and see if they're going to be the same thing. Okay? If they have all of the exact same numbers, except notice all of these are opposite, right? Even if they were all the same. If all the numbers are the same, it has no point, no choice but to be the same, right? Yes, Parker or Casey. Yes.
So are we gonna have to do those, or can we just put all numbers?
It's only on it.
No, you can just put, like, if, I'm just showing you, like, I was trying to get y'all to understand the concept, how can it be all real numbers?
So you just put all real numbers on there?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, you would just write all real numbers. If you got 0 equals 0,
Some question.
it's all real numbers, yes.
Is this technically pre-geometry?
Not really. I mean, everything in Algebra 1 builds up to geometry.
Geometry. I love geometry. I'm really good at geometry. I don't know what
Alright,
Well, now the recording knows that you love geometry, Zach.
yep, I'm gonna tell Miss Suttles.
I hate you.
I'm gonna let her listen to it.
I love
Oh no!
Don't ever let Zach tell you that he hates your class because he admitted he loves it.
Are there gonna be any of those on our homework?
No.
Do we have homework?
Yes.
Always have.
No.
Maybe.
Because we've only started the easy problems, Jaden.
Oh, what this hard?
Wait, what?
None of them crossed out.
Alright,
Wait, this is easy?
this one's easy, yes.
Because the Y's cross out.
Yeah, this one's easy because in the beginning, we have something that crosses out, don't we?
In the beginning.
We've got negative y and positive y. They're gonna go away. They're going to eliminate.
So you're left with 2x equals 30.
Nope, this is understood.
3x.
1.
Right.
So 3x.
So remember, 1x plus 2x is 3x. 11 plus 19 is
30.
30. You okay,
Yeah.
Parker? What's wrong?
That face.
Did it like blow your mind while you were something? Huh?
Yes.
Are you still like just trying to figure out that whole same line thing?
Yes.
Okay, well,
I don't get it, so I just give it.
Yeah, me too. I bet.
it'll make sense one day. Don't worry. One day it will click and you'll be like, oh, that's what Miss Finn was talking about.
One day when you're drinking coffee with your 5 kids, you'll be like,
All right, so is x by itself yet?
I don't want to do that. 5.
No, we still need to.
Divide by 3.
Hey, Jaden and Madeline. 30 divided by 3 is 10.
So then you plug it in. To the
Right,
top.
we gotta plug it back in. Like I said, it doesn't matter which one. I just prefer the top every time.
oh yeah.
Now remember, I added the 1 here. It wasn't originally there, was it?
But it's still 10 times.
Yeah, so it'd be 10 minus y equals 11. Even if you wanted to put the 1 there, you can, because 1 times 10 is still 10. It's not necessary to do that. Gotta get y by itself. What's keeping it?
The negative.
No,
The
10.
the
plus
10. How do you get rid of a positive 10?
Minus 10.
Remember, this minus is with the y, not with the 10.
Got it. I did it.
So negative y equals
1.
1, but is y by itself yet?
No.
There's still that negative, and that's a negative what?
1.
1.
So you divide by negative 1.
Right.
Show you.
So y equals negative 1.
What's wrong, Casey?
I was just agreeing.
Oh. So y equals negative 1. So our answer is 10 comma negative 1. Are you okay so far?
How many problems?
Got it. I think so.
The homework's 4 problems.
How many problems? 4 problems we start now.
Until I feel like you're really confident.
I'm really
I have a lot
confident.
of homework.
Like I said, these are the easy ones.
I'm not
Please
confident.
don't just move on to the hard ones and like totally just.
I am. That's the last easy one we're doing.
Good.
What?
Yay.
Because I feel confident that you understand the easy ones and the process of elimination.
Are you about to blow our minds?
No, I've already blown your mind once today.
Do it again. I'm bored. This has been a very bad week for me.
All right.
Hi, welcome to therapy. Would you like to talk about
Like the bottom of the column. So it's cool.
your... Yeah, we can. Stop! Quit thinking.
Okay. What eliminates this time?
Nothing.
Do they though?
No.
Positive and positive doesn't, does it?
No.
It should be a positive and a negative. And the x's definitely don't. They make, if you put those together, they make 5, right? So, nothing eliminates. So we're going to have to make something eliminate. All right? Now, the beauty of equations. So y'all know how whenever we're solving equations, I always tell you, if you want to get rid of something over here, you can do that as long as you do it to the other side also, right? With equations, you can multiply anything by any number as long as you do it to all of the other numbers also, okay? So like, for instance, if I had x plus 3 equals 6, Let's say I didn't want it to be that simple. Let's say I wanted to turn this 3 into a 6. What would you have to multiply 3 by to get 6? 2. If I'm going to multiply the 3 by 2,
Gotta multiply the 6.
I have to multiply the 6 by 2 and
The x by
the x by 2. What you do to one thing, you have to do to all things. 2x plus 6 equals 12. Now let's solve it. 2x equals 6, x equals 3. Let's go back to the original. All you got to do here is subtract 3. X equals 3. So you see you get the same answer no matter what, right? As long as what you do to one thing, you do to all the things. All it is proportions. It's similarities. It's like this circle is with proportion to this circle. Well, if that was a circle. To this circle. Okay? All circles are proportionate. Some of them are just smaller than others, but they're still in proportion to one another. So, what we need to do is we need to figure out, we've got a positive y up here. What does this need to be? A negative y. How can I turn a positive y into a negative y?
times negative 1.
Multiply it by negative 1. Does that make sense, Casey? I want to change a positive into a negative. I have to multiply it by a negative. Now, I could multiply it by negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, whatever. But if I multiply it by negative 2, it doesn't just change it to negative y, it changes it to negative 2y. I don't need it to be negative 2y. I just need it to be negative y. So I'm only going to multiply it by negative 1. And again, if you're going to multiply this by negative 1, you got to multiply everything by negative 1. But we're not multiplying anything on the top, are we? No, we want it to stay positive y. We just want to change the bottom to negative y. So rewrite your top equation. 8x plus y equals negative 16. Okay? And now we're going to multiply everything on the bottom by negative 1. What's negative 1 times negative 3x?
Positive
3x.
What's negative 1 times positive y?
Negative 5.
Equals negative 1 times negative 5.
Positive 5.
All right. Now do we have something that will eliminate? Yes. So now we're back to an easy problem. So remember we're adding. Those cancel, right? 8x and 3x make. Negative 16 and 5 make.
Negative 11.
Oh, sure.
And then we divide by.
11. You get the
Negative 11 divided by 11 is.
negative 1.
We only found half, right? How do you find the other one? Do
plug
you have to
the
go
x.
back to these?
No.
We can go all the way back to the beginning, right?
Yeah.
That's what I like to do.
This is kind of easy.
So negative 8
So 8 times negative 1 plus y,
equals
negative 16. 8 times negative 1 is negative 8. How do you get rid of a minus 8?
Equals 8. So y equals negative 8.
This is kind of easy.
All right?
It's pretty simple.
So sometimes if it doesn't cancel in the beginning, you have to make it cancel. Now, they're not all going to be as easy as multiplying by negative 1, obviously. And we're going to get to some of those.
How many on our homework will be no cancel at the beginning?
I think all of them.
Oh yay. So excited.
I am.
Oh yeah, because Zach loves math.
All right.
He loves geometry. Which is math. It's geometry.
Okay, stop arguing over whether geometry is math or not. Okay, so, will anything cancel in the beginning on this one?
No.
No, it will not.
I know.
Okay? We can't get rid of these two because, one, they're not opposite signs and they're not even the same number. These two are the same number, but they're not opposite signs. We need to change one of those negatives into a positive. What do you multiply a negative by to get a positive?
A negative.
A negative. Remember, negative times negative equals a positive. Does it matter if I do top or bottom? No, we just need one of them to change to a positive, right? I personally like to do the bottom if I can.
But you can.
So I'm going to rewrite the top. And now I'm gonna multiply everything on the bottom times -1. So -1 times -4x is positive 4x. -1 times -9, positive 9y. -1 times -23, positive 23. Any questions on what I just did? No, okay. Now will something eliminate?
Yes.
Yes. Now the 9y's eliminate.
Wait, no.
And what's -2x and 4x make?
2x.
Take the sign bigger number, so positive 2. -25 and positive 23 would make
-2.
-2. And then we just divide by 2. So x equals -1. Are we done? Nope. Now we take this number and plug it back in where?
To the top x.
To the top x. 2 times -1 minus 9y, -25. -2 times -1 is, then we would, so -9y equals -27. Jaden, that doesn't look like math. So tomorrow, when you're doing your classwork and you don't know what to do, I'm not gonna help you.
Yeah, I did it.
Okay.
I enjoyed this.
So are we gonna get any to where it's like they're not the same number, both positive?
That's next.
Crap.
Alright. Time to get a watch.
I have one.
Time to look at it then.
That's funny.
Alright,
It's 11:30.
here we go.
Oh, wait, we're doing the video for.
Look at this one.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna see if I know how to do this without.
Not only will nothing cancel out, but nothing is even the same number. Okay? So we have to choose, do we want to eliminate x or y?
X. X.
We could eliminate either one in this case.
But X is-
But x is going to be easier. Why is that? Parker?
Because you can just time it by -2.
Thank you, Parker. You can just multiply it times -2, right? What would you have to multiply to get y by itself?
Yeah, positive.
You would have to.
Positives, no, it's always multiplying.
You can't
Mm-mm.
Okay, I'm gonna turn around.
Because it doesn't work that way.
take you out.
Adding, it does not keep things in proportion. Only multiplying. We learned this last year. Alright. If we wanted to get rid of y, we'd have to multiply everything by 7 on the top. 7's bigger than -2, isn't it? So that means your numbers are going to get bigger and more complicated, right? The bigger the number, the more easily you're going to make a mistake, right?
Yeah.
We don't want to do that. We want to stay as simple as possible, and -2 is simple, okay? So which one are we going to have to, why would we multiply by -2 and not +2?
Because you need a
Because of
negative and a
reasons.
positive.
Because we need the opposite of 10, and what is the opposite of 10?
Negative.
-10. And 5 times what is -10?
2.
-2. So again, we have to multiply all of it by -2. So what's -2 times 5x?
-10x.
-10x. What's -2 times y?
-2y.
-2y. And what's -2 times 9? Are we doing anything to the bottom? No, because if we change the bottom, then what was the point in changing the top, right? So we just rewrite it. Remember, it's always adding down here. Sometimes I may not put the plus sign, sometimes I will. Just know it's always addition, okay? So -10 plus 10 just makes 0. -2y plus -7y is -9y. -18 plus -18 is
-36.
-36.
Okay, I would.
Now what do we do?
Divide.
Divide -9.
What if they
Be careful, whenever you see them like this, -18, please, 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 the most common error is for people to just immediately write down 0. Is that your most common error?
no?
Oh,
I'm asking.
okay.
What if we can't multiply and have the same number?
Then you're gonna have to multiply both top and bottom.
What? Oh, why
Just
didn't-
like whenever you have to get a common denominator.
Remember.
You know when you get a common denominator on fractions, sometimes like if you had 1/4 plus 1/2, you'd only have, on this one, you'd only have to multiply this one, right? But what if you had 1/3 plus 1/2? Now you have to multiply both of them so that you can get a common denominator of 6. It's going to work the same way with these. Sometimes you'll only have to multiply one of the equations. Sometimes you may have to multiply,
What if that would work?
oh, it will.
It will?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yes.
Well,
There's
we
always some, because even if nothing else, you would just multiply them by each other, Jaden. Like if I had 7 and 8, 7x and 8x,
That'd be 56x.
Got it.
Holy crap.
you would just have to multiply the 7 by 8 and the 8 by 7, and then they would both be 56.
Yeah. Right now.
So it will work.
It'd just be a
It'll just be a massive number. I'm not going to be that mean to you.
Thank you.
All right. So y equals +4. Take that, plug it back in. Now, notice, am I plugging it back in to where, when I'm plugging it back in here, am I going to rewrite the -2 in the parentheses?
No.
No. That was just for the sake of finding the y, right?
Yeah.
The original equation is 5x plus y equals 9. That's what I'm plugging into. I mean, technically, you could have included the -2 and it would have been fine,
That's a 4.
but negative divided by negative is a positive. 36 divided by 9 is 4.
Oh, I think I'm at.
Never mind.
Yes, Parker.
Why did you put it for the y?
Because it says-
y equals 4.
Because it says y equals 4, so that means I plug it in. You're like, why did you plug it in for the y? It says y equals 4. I'm like, exactly. Because it says y equals 4. So we subtract the 4. 5x equals 5. Divide by 5.
Okay, yeah, I still got one.
I
X
did it
equals
right.
1.
I did it to the bottom and I got one. Can we start
You're
over?
going to get it for both of them.
Can we start over?
Okay.
No, we're gonna do a couple more.
I enjoy this. We only had 10 minutes.
Yeah, but because we're making them equal each other, basically, it's going to equal the same thing. Because this y equals 4 here, this is the only number where both of them can equal 4. If it was 5, if y could equal 5 on one of them, but it's not going to equal 5 on the other one. So this is the only number where they both are equal to 4. So that's why it'll work on either equation.
Yes, we know.
Let's do one more of those where you got to multiply one of them.
And then you're gonna make us multiply both of them?
Uh-huh.
This is gonna suck at all. Will the homework have where you have to multiply both of them?
I've already told you the homework is only, well, you won't have to multiply anything.
Oh,
You've already asked that and I told you the answer.
Oh, I thought they used to do it.
You said, will any of them have to be multiplied? I said, no. Yes.
Can I go to the bathroom?
Hurry up. All right. We could eliminate either one here, couldn't we?
Yes, Mom.
We want to see which one is going to give us smaller numbers though, right?
I think the Y is.
Why is that?
Never mind.
Why is that?
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just wanting to know your reasoning.
It's easier.
Because you're multiplying by 3. If we got if you got rid of the x's,
It's 4.
you'd have to multiply by 4. Multiplying by 3 will give us smaller numbers than multiplying by 4, won't it?
Yeah.
Again, does it matter? No. Okay, you could do either one. I prefer to always use the one that'll give me the smallest numbers. So let's multiply by 3. Which one are we going to multiply by 3, top or bottom?
Bottom.
Why are we not multiplying it by -3?
Because you need to be opposites.
Because they need to be opposites and it's already a negative, right? So this is already a -3, so we just need to multiply it by +3. Okay? So I rewrite the top.
The top.
And then I multiply the whole bottom by 3. 3 times x is 3 times negative 3y is negative 9y. 3 times negative 6.
Is negative 18.
Good. So the point in doing that was so that we would have 2 that are opposites. Did that work?
No.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got 2 opposites, didn't we? 9y and negative 9y. So now negative 4x and 3x would make
Negative x.
negative 1x.
Do it.
9, just, you will eventually, so you might as well put it now. 9 minus 18, or 9
Negative
plus
27.
negative 18.
Negative 27.
No,
Minus 9.
yes.
Oh my god.
Is x by itself yet?
No.
We still need to divide by,
Negative.
good. So x equals positive 9.
Oh, they're right.
All right, go ahead and find your second part.
We just found that y.
We just found x.
Oh,
Again, it's very important to not do a whole lot in your head here, because when you do, you might get confused. Did you just find x or did you just find y? If you write it all down, you know what you found. Okay, so you open the door, please. Now, some people may argue that they'd rather plug into the bottom equation this time, because there's fewer numbers down there, right? I would agree with that. But again, it doesn't matter. No, you're going to get the same answer regardless.
Okay, good. We get back to the top.
I just always have a habit of plugging into the top because it's easier to get my arrow up there. Basically. I mean, that's my reasoning. It's easier to get the arrow up there. Negative 4 times 9 is negative 36.
So plus 36 on both sides.
Don't you get that?
Thank you, Maddie. 9 plus 36 would be
45.
divide by 9.
Yay. Overtime. Oh.
We're going to do one hard one.
Oh, but they're not hard.
Are you still recording?
Yep.
Yay.
I recorded.
I like them. I never knew that.
Except not.
Ooh, there's a good one. All right.
What is it?
Okay.
Okay. He does.
Let's get
Okay. That's right.
Yeah, ready,
All right, so on this one, is there any way to turn a 3 into a 5 by multiplying?
No.
Is there any way to turn a 4 into a 6 by multiplying?
Yes.
No.
No.
4 times 1 is
No.
6.
Never mind.
Turn both 24 or 18.
Okay, we could turn both of the x's into
15.
15, or we could turn both of the y's into
12.
12. Which one would be easier?
12.
12.
12 is smaller than 15, isn't it? So let's do that one. But we don't need them both to be 12. We need one to be 12 and one to be
Negative.
negative 12, right?
So top one. This
So we can keep the top one positive. So what do you have to multiply 4 by to get positive 12?
3, I think.
3.
You think?
And what do you have to multiply 6 by to get negative 12?
Negative 2.
Negative 2.
You can do both of them?
Yep.
Why?
Because we went over this. There's no way to turn 3 into 5, and there's no way to turn 4 into 6.
Unless you're a witch.
Not by multiplying.
something.
All right. So now, you got to multiply on both. 3 times 5x is
15x.
3 times 4y is
12x.
12y. 3 times negative 14 is
Oh.
Negative big number.
Negative 42. 42, you said it.
Yep, negative 42. So we did the top. Now let's multiply the bottom.
Okay.
Negative 2 times 3x.
Negative 6. X.
Negative 2 times 6y.
Negative 12y. Y.
Negative 2 times 6.
Negative 12.
What's going to cancel now?
The y.
The y's, the 12 y's. So, 15 plus negative 6, that's just 15 minus 6, right?
9x.
9x.
Negative, no, positive.
Negative 42 minus 12, or
Negative 54.
negative 42 plus negative 12 is negative 54. And then we would
Divide
by 9.
be 9.
Oh,
That is
okay.
Negative 6.
See, that's my problem.
And that's our x. Y'all now find y. Do we have to plug it into this one?
No.
When we plug it into the top, do you include the 3?
No.
No. Do you have to plug it into the top?
No.
No, you can plug it into the second one, right? Oh.
Negative 6 over 4. I got that answer. I got it right. Negative 6 over 4.
Now I have to.
Is the homework still due?
Just because you didn't have time to do it in class doesn't mean that it automatically
Yeah, you freaking
became
jerk bucket.
no longer homework.
Dude,
Now
I
it's like
tried it,
legit
though.
homework. Yes.
Yeah, you little.
Did you Friday?
Wait, is it homework?
Technically Monday at 8 o'clock.